Shalom everyone, please come in and grab a seat. Boker Tov, hello, hello. If you're in the hallway, please come in and have a seat so we can begin our program. Toda Rabba. It works very well.
Good morning, everyone. If you could all be seated and direct your attention here to the front of the sanctuary. We're really glad to see everyone. And I have to just preface this with one comment. Everybody has worked really hard on this. And if things don't go well, it's only because Carol Flank was not in charge. And I have to thank Herb Golinkin for that wonderful piece of wit. That was not me. So welcome to this lovely event where we are honoring our dear friend Carol Flank. She was always there when a need arose, and by her devotion to service set a very high bar for volunteerism at our synagogue. We are happy but feeling bittersweet as we see her off to the next phase of her life. I would like to thank everyone who helped work on making today special. From the top down, everyone worked hard, not only physically, but with great suggestions as well. We are going to have a few words from Rabbi Mirelman, Claudine, David Schwartz via Carol Flank, Carol Koenig, Rabbi Glick, who will present the certificate, and Carol herself, and at the end there will be a short musical experience. After the program, you are welcome to join us on the terrace to greet Carol. There are goodie bags to take home, and we want to make sure you take the time to sign the guest book, which Carol will be taking home with her. And it's been really nice because people who have who are not able to come today have been sending in email messages, which we can then put in the book. So I would like to now welcome Rabbi Mirelman to the podium, where he will give a blessing, followed by Claudine, followed by Carol Koenig. He's going to try? Okay. And followed finally Rabbi Glick and Carol. So please welcome Rabbi Mirelman.
Thank you. Can I take this off? Thank you, Shirley, and good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be together for this bittersweet event. I'd like to say just a very few brief words to Carol. We've known each other for 32 years, and as everybody knows, Carol is behind everything, not only in the synagogue, but in the area, in the schools, and so on. We'll hear about it in detail from others later today. But I personally recall the many special incidents, many happy occasions, some sad occasions. I remember Rachel's Bat Mitzvah, and I think it was at this time of the year, right? It was Parashat Noach, because I remember that saying in the Haftarah, Kol Banaich Limudei Adonai. And Rachel's wedding, a few years after that. So that tells about a history of the Flank family and, of course, my own family here. And also I remember that fateful day that you reminded me in a card that you sent with pictures of the family when Steve, your former husband, passed away on Yom Kippur, and during the intermission, or between Musaf and Mincha in the afternoon, we had to talk about arrangements for the following day service. And that was a sad occasion, but also brought all the families involved together. But that's part of life. You know, in our tradition, we sometimes talk about Hillel and Shamai. Hillel and Shamai were two very important early rabbis, Pharisees, at the time before the temple was destroyed, the second temple. And usually the tradition favors Hillel over Shammai because he was less prompt to have a fit of rage, and he was more understanding of people. And in Pirkei Avot, after Hillel speaks about Mili and Mimi and Mili and so on, Shammai comes to the fore. And Shammai says, Aseh Toratcha keva, אמור מעט ועשה הרבה, והווה מקבל כל אדם בסבר פנים יפות. Shammai was speaking 2,000 years ago about Carol Flank. You know, he had this ability, and he said, make the Torah a constant pursuit. Say little, but do much, and receive or meet every person with a cheerful face. And that is, Carol, we don't have another 2 weeks to continue talking about it, but in a nutshell, Shammai said it perfectly. And now we are in Parashat Lech Lecha. Since Saturday afternoon, we look forward to the next parasha, Lech Lecha. Abraham is told by God, get yourself out of here. But Lech Lecha, he would have said Lech, but he said Lecha. Go out for yourself. The classic Midrashim say Lecha means letovatcha ule'anaatcha, for your good and for your rejoicing. And in a way, we're saying that to Carol. Not that we are chasing you out of here, of course, but we know that you're going to live close to Rachel and her family, the grandchildren. And people tell me that once you go to Colorado, you never leave. So we are happy for you. And Shirley asked me to give you a blessing, and this is the blessing I share with you. Go for yourself, for your own good, and bring to the Coloradians, to the Rockies, all you have done to us, and then you will be known to them as you're known to us. Lech v'yatzlech. Lechilach, lechilach. And go in health and enjoy your life and be in touch. I know we will. Thank you.
Boker Tov, everyone, and thank you for coming. We are here today to celebrate one incredible woman who has always been there for us. A woman who has brought energy and joy into countless Tat Shabbat and events for families with young children. A woman who has answered the call to volunteer in the preschool whenever she could. A woman whose kindness and a neshama tova made every event she graced a wonderful success. And now, a woman who we are here for a bittersweet goodbye. Carol, from the beginning, I have always thought of you as a mentor, a source of support, and a friend. But don't just take my word for it. Carol has so many friends throughout the temple, and today is just showing that. The kids were always over the moon when Miss Carol would come to the preschool, energetic and playful, to tell them stories and to play with them. When the teacher knew that she was subbing that day, we felt so good because we knew the day is going to go smoothly thanks to you. And temple members who would run into you were so delighted because you were quickly met with a friendly smile, sweet conversation, and a welcoming feeling. Carol, when I think of you, there is a passage in Hebrew that I would like to say, and it's from the book of Ruth, and it describes you perfectly. כי יודע כל שאר עמי, כי אשת חיל את. You are a beloved woman whose many virtues are known to all. I know this is a send-off party, but if you know me, I'm not so good in saying goodbyes, and I promise that I'm not going to tear today, as I told you. Instead, I just want to tell you later, until we meet again, my dear friend, Colorado is lucky to have you. And your community will miss you dearly. I'll miss you dearly. So toda rabah for everything, for all the hours and the time that we spent together. And I count on you to come back for more events with us. We love you so much. Thank you.
I don't know where Charles is. Is David going to be able to come on Zoom? Yes. Is he?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. So I'm sorry I can't be there in person, Carol. My wife got sick last night and I didn't think I should bring all her germs with me to say goodbye to you. But when I came to Har Zion, I was trying to figure out who was in charge of things. And so I asked who's in charge of the meals for PADS? Carol Flank. Who's in charge of organizing Shiva meals? Carol Flank. Who's the VP of programming? Carol Flank. There's even a certificate in my office from Magen David Adom addressed to Rabbi Merrilman, Alicia Gedgeman, and Carol Flank. And I quickly got to know the omnipresent Carol Flank and discovered why she was so beloved. And so, Carol, I wanted to say thank you to you. Thank you for subbing in the Hebrew school for the kindergarten class. The children always had a great time when you were there. Thank you for your work organizing the choir loft and the closets. They look so much better now. And thank you for your encouragement and participation in our adult education programs over the last couple of years. Your presence has very much enriched the whole experience. So I'm looking forward to seeing you on Monday evenings from Zoom and hearing about the new chapter in your life. Good luck.
Boker Tov, everyone. Nice to see you. Thank you again for coming. Thank you to Shirley and Carol for organizing and everyone else on our committee. And this is a bittersweet day, as everybody has been saying. I hope we're not making you feel guilty yet about leaving. like to also thank Rabbi Mirelman and also Claudine and David for sharing their words of appreciation. I know if every one of us could come up here and share some words, because Carol has impacted all of our lives. So it was interesting when David was sharing a few words about coming here. It was exactly the same thought that I had when I first came here 6 years ago. Whenever I had a question, how does so-and-so work? I'll take this off. Or where is an item located? Or how to get an event done? The answer always seemed to be ask Carol Flank. And so I thought, who is Carol Flank? What is her position in the synagogue? And at the time, her position was to be, I think it was only assistant to the principal at that time, but she's had every position pretty much. But she did seem to know about everything, where everything was located. And she was involved in every facet of our synagogue's life, from programming to social action, to collecting food for the pantry, to doing Shiva Klaus, and organizing Bikur Cholim, visiting the sick, to the preschool, to the religious school, to helping congregants who no longer drive. And it's still the case. When my children go to Tat Shabbat, the Carol does, they receive a thank you letter afterwards for having gone and inviting them to the next one, every single child. And as we know, she is always creative and always warm and always comes from the heart, is always loving, and always has a smile on her face, and always has a big open heart. This is Carol. And Carol does not need a committee because she just gets it done. Remember last year, just before the 2020 high holidays, when we were preparing and there was a whole other aspect to our high holidays. We had to do digital content, and we just received a whole bunch of greeting videos. As you all remember, we had them last year and this year, and we had to prepare the videos and pair them into different groups and watch all of them. And it was just a few days before the high holidays, and I happened to be on the phone to my father in Jerusalem, and I was commiserating. I'm saying, how am I ever going to get this done and all my other duties before the high holidays? And he said, just ask Carol Flank to help you. So this is a sad day for us. This is a sad day for our whole congregation, because Carol is such a wonderfully capable person who climbs mountains for our congregation and asks very little in return. And I think probably every lay leader of the past 3 decades can attest to that. And as an institution, since the very day that I started, we've been planning for this. We've quite literally had people shadow Carol all day long to see all the tasks, big and small, that she carries out in the congregation. Because she understands, as Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel says, the highest destiny of man is to serve. But I think even more than that, we will miss Carol because she is such a good friend to all of us. And that is why there are so many people here. It says in Pirkei Avot, Ethics of the Fathers, Kaneh lecha chaver, acquire for yourself a friend. And Carol is such a friend. She is always caring, always present, showing empathy, sending condolences cards and thank you cards. And whatever she is doing, whether it's preparing for Tat Shabbat with Claudine, or programming, or dropping off food, she always does it from a place of yididut, of sincere friendship, of true friendship, of loving friendship. She always does it from that place. And even the little ones know that Carol is their friend, and she is open with them, and she genuinely cares about them. My son just came up to our chair, and he was wearing a dinosaur costume. I thought, how appropriate that a dinosaur, Shabbat dinosaur, should join us for this event. One of my favorite moments of the last few months, it was a Tam Shel Shabbat that Claudine and Carol were running, an event for our young families just before Shabbat. And Carol's always read a story, and it was a wonderful story about a fierce and grouchy bear who was lost in Brooklyn. And there's a family who need to go to the corner store to buy honey for their Shabbos kugel. But every time a member comes to the store, the bear intercepts them. And you should have heard Carol that day roaring like the bear, "Give me your honey." It was absolutely perfect. And in the end, all the bear really needed was a little bit of TLC, some loving, and to hear a good Shabbos story. And I thought, who better to tell that story than Carol? Because Carol is always running to do a mitzvah and running to help people. Quite literally, we see her around the neighborhood, running around, dropping off and picking up and doing all kinds of mitzvot. I remember several years ago, Deb Fulsher, who was VP of Education at the time, and she created a day in the religious school called the Carol Flank Day, and in the community to honor Carol and to create a day to do good deeds, because we all too aspire to run after mitzvot and to help people wherever they are, the way Carol does. So today, Carol, we are honoring you and thanking you for all of your contributions. And we're also thanking you for being such a mensch and for being such a good friend to all of us. So there is in our new Machzorim, there is at the very beginning, page 3, I believe, at the beginning of all of our high holiday services, it says, Shalom, Shalom, lekarov velerachok. Shalom, Shalom to those who are far away, and Shalom to those who are near. So now you will just be a little bit more far off in physical distance, but I know that in spiritual distance and distance of the heart, it will still be the same. And we know you will come to visit us, and I guess we might have to come visit you in the far wild west suburban Temple Har Zion in Colorado. So thank you for everything you do for us and you've done for us, and I'm sure we'll continue to do via Zoom, orchestrate all the events that happen here. So mazel tov on your move, lehitraot. See you soon. Toda rabba. So now I'd like to present a certificate to you. In recognition of her work with the Temple Har Zion's Koven Religious School and early childhood education, her contributions to the Kulanu and Sisterhood committees, and her overall dedication to the well-being of the congregation. And there could have been about 10 other pages on that list, but I think that summarizes beautifully all the work you do for us. With appreciation to Carol Flank from the clergy, teachers, students, staff, and congregants of Temple Har Zion, there are 3 crowns, the crown of Torah, the crown of priesthood, and the crown of sovereignty. But the crown of good name surmounts them all. Ethics of our fathers. And today's date, Mazel Tov.
Thank you. Thank you. I have the perfect place to put this too, that when you walk in my new front door, that'll hang right there on the wall. So thank you. I'm really overwhelmed this morning. I want to thank Rabbi Merriman, Claudine, David, Rabbi Glick, Shirley, and Carol, and everyone else who put this together. But I really should be the one thanking you. My commitment to the temple is the result of the love and the kindness that clergy and congregants have shown me and my family for 43 years. I came when I was 10, so. I've just simply followed your examples. When my then husband Steve and I joined Temple Har Zion in September of 1978, we were immediately welcomed and embraced. You invited us to your homes for Shabbat dinner, to join you for Kiddush after services, and for latkes and bagels and a lecture on Sunday morning. We learned how to build a sukkah, bake challah, and plan a shiva. Everyone was so kind and generous and giving of their time that I couldn't help but want to keep returning for more opportunities to make friends, to learn, and to have a good time. Volunteering became my way to say thanks and give back to the community that I was growing to treasure. I was emboldened by the trust you placed in me. So when Sarah Eisen first asked me to teach your children, even though my knowledge of Hebrew was very limited and my pronunciation was nil, I welcomed the opportunity. I knew that I would be learning and growing along with your children. I had many opportunities to work with talented and dedicated teachers and principals who thought outside the box to create programs to match every student's learning style. And little did Claudine know, when she first asked me to read stories at the Young Family programs, that reading aloud is really one of my favorite activities. It lets the ham in me show. And I read to students of all ages. I used to read to my high school kids all the time. Temple Har Zion also taught me the power of a few simple words and kind gestures. The morning after Rachel was born, Rabbi Tavachna called me at McNeil Hospital. Like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. And then years later, and this really deserves repeating, Steve was no longer a member of Har Zion, and he died very suddenly, and it was just before Yom Kippur. And Rabbi Merriman, after a very long day, graciously conducted the gravesite funeral the next morning. And his touching eulogy not only comforted Rachel, but all my other family members as well. One of my proudest moments here was my adult Bat Mitzvah. And I was just following the example of several other adults. And I worked with Cantor Brindell and later Cantor Figa to learn a Haftorah. And then I had the honor of chanting it several times over the years. Temple Har Zion has allowed me to truly become a lifelong learner. When Rabbi Glick first suggested today's program, I avoided answering the email. I thought, he's a busy man. He won't miss the no response. And then Carol Koenig asked me when I was moving, and before long, Shirley and Sheila had said something. And that's when I realized I wasn't going to be able to leave without saying goodbye. But at the time, little did I know that just the simple act of saying goodbye would create an opportunity to learn. As I searched the web for suggestions on how to say goodbye, I found an article from Rabbi Cami Knapp, who at the time was an intern at Ritual Well. And in her article, she explained the significance of the Hadran Alak prayer, which is traditionally used to celebrate the completion of a study of a tractate of Talmud. But Rabbi Knapp suggested that the prayer is also a way of, that saying goodbye is never final, but simply a promise to return, and to return soon. So she suggested that the prayer reminds us to remember each other, to honor each other's memory in our words and our deeds, to continue to nourish our friendships that we've created by finding ways to return. And our interconnected world provides many ways for us to return. We can do it in person, we can do it over the Zoom, and we can even do it with the help of the US Post Office. So I want to thank Rabbi Glick this morning for gently nudging me to save the date and to contemplate what these 43 years have meant, to celebrate our friendship, to say goodbye, but to promise to return very soon. Thank you to all of you who have come this morning in person and on Zoom, to the many friends who've sent cards and emails. Thank you for creating a home for me for 43 years and making sure that I know the welcome mat is still out and that there will always be an extra plate at the dinner table. Toda rabah.
So, it's tradition that every time we finish an event, we sing Shalom Chaverim. And we'll hold on with our little guys here, and they have cards for you with wonderful words to describe what you mean for the little people here and how much you impacted adult and children's life. So those cards are made for you from the Hebrew school and from the preschool. And I know everyone remembered the song. It's called Shalom Chaverim. Help us to sing it together. Are you guys ready? Come on, let's sing it together. Shalom Chaverim, Shalom Chaverim, Shalom, Shalom. Lehitraot, lehitraot. Shalom, Shalom. Goodbye to my friends, goodbye to my friends, goodbye, goodbye. Till we meet again, till we meet again. Goodbye, goodbye. Toda rabah, Carol, for everything. My friends, can you give a big... Give me the phone.
Thank you, kids.
Thank you, everyone. We're going to now go to the terrace to enjoy some conversation with Carol and take back some goodie bags. Not made by Carol this time.
Hi, everybody there from Maryland.
Hello, everybody. Wish I could be with you. This is Judy. Thanks to Carol.
Hi, folks. Marshall Kupchin, and just want to say that the 7 years I had to work with Carol Flank at West Suburban was a true honor and a privilege. She is a wonderful woman to work with, and because of Carol, we were able to do great things at the school. So greetings from Jerusalem. Be well, everybody. It's time for dinner. Danke schön.